Are you planning to sell your home this year and you're wondering what your real estate agent really needs to know that could get it sold for top dollar and fast? Well, in today's episode, I'm sharing 10 essential details that your real estate agent needs to know, plus 2 tips that could make all the difference in making you thousands. Trust me, these are some of the reasons and some of the things that homeowners really overlooked when they're talking to their real estate agents. And let's dive right in. Welcome to Building Connections Doral Talks. I'm your host, Betty Gonzalez. In this podcast, we talk about everything about selling and buying real estate right here in South Florida, especially right here in Doral. So let me tell you, these essential things are very important because this could make or break the sale or really slow down the process. Right now, I'm going through a contract with one of my buyers, and these are things that I noticed that agents should know when they put their listings on the market. If you're my client, obviously I'm gonna educate you on this, but let's get that right in. So let's talk about property conditions. That's the very first thing. Property conditions, you need to talk to your real estate agents about any repairs or any upgrades. You need to mention it, any renovations, like if there has been a new roof put in, if you put in a new HVAC system, or if you have remodeled the kitchen. This is essential, especially if you have a new HVAC system and if you have a new roof, because this is going to help you and it's going to help the buyer determine if this is going to be a good buy for themselves, because that's going to help with insurance and it's going to help know what they're going to be able to get a quote for. Also, you need to disclose anything that are known to you, like if there's been any leaks or any plumbing issues or even electrical concerns, to avoid any surprises during the buyer's due diligence period, because this could delay the process. For example, I'm pretty sure you know about the inspection contingency that any new buyers will go through, right? Usually in the state of Florida, it's immediately 15 days. But if you want to have a strong offer, we usually shorten this time frame to 7 to 8 days to make sure that the seller knows that the buyer it's serious. However, if the buyer is trying to do their due diligence, but you as a seller did not you do your homework before you even come on the market, then you can delay the process and it's going to hinder your own sale. So let me explain. My clients, these sellers have new roof. First of all, even though it has a new roof, the roof has a leakage and they have to come several times to fix it, right? So this has to be disclosed in the seller disclosures, which I'm going to cover a little bit later in this as well. Even if it's disclosed or not, it should have been addressed prior to, right? So now, because the inspector came and they found an active leak on this roof, then we have something here in the state of Florida that is called the 4-point inspections, where they check for electric, HVAC, they're going to check for plumbing, and they're going to check for the wind and the roof. So they cannot have a clear 4-point inspection for this roof because it has an active leak. Now, this inspection is needed to have insurance. Without this inspection clear, or a clear 4-point inspection, then my clients are not going to be able to get insured. So guess what? Now we're going to have to delay this process, extend the inspection period until this gets solved, this gets fixed, so that the inspector can come back and have that 4-point inspection updated in order for them to go ahead and get the quote. Because remember, if you don't get a quote for the insurance, or if the quote is too high, then it can knock the buyers from being able to have their monthly payments to buy your property. So this needs to be done prior. So you want to have your homework done and make sure that you disclose all of this to your agent. Now, tied to this, you want to have your HOA information. This is number 2, HOA information. You want to know the name of the associations. You want to know and have handy to give to your agent the rules and the fees. Remember, usually associations go up in dues, and usually it's at the beginning of the year, like right now in 2025 in January. It might have gone up. So you might want to verify, because this needs to be listed on the MLS, and you want to make sure that they have an accurate, detailed information about your property, because we don't want to mislead by just being negligent. Because let me tell you, buyers do their numbers, and a difference in the payment on an association can make the big difference. Is it can or cannot buy your property. So we want to make sure that we don't waste not only the buyer's time, but your time, because time is money. They can put in an offer believing that they will be able to afford your property, and then you come off the market thinking you're going to have a good closing experience, and then at the end they realize that they cannot qualify for financing because the association is too high and it wasn't disclosed properly, right? Then also you want to know right now, especially in the state of Florida, you want to know if there's going to be any pending assessment by your association that might increase the premium or probably payment for a period of time. For example, in this deal that we're in, there's an assessment because the association was the body that actually took care of the roof. So this is what's an assessment that is passed down to the consumer. So that's an extra payment that needs to be included to the association in the monthly payments for the next 9 years. So they did have that correctly, and this is something that needs to be known before time, and you need to have the right amount to tell your agent so that they can advertise it and put the right information in their MLS to represent your property properly in order to receive the right buyers to come and see your property and put in offers. And also if there's going to be any changes in the policy. Number 3, guys, you want to have or know if you have any flood, if you're in a flood zone. If you were not in a flood zone when you bought, you need to verify to see if things have changed. And if you're in a flood zone and you have any flood insurance or any insurance that you have at the time, because if you do carry an insurance, whether they continue to insure in that area or not, it will be helpful to know, because if the buyers are having a hard time finding one, they might potentially call this insurance company for them to also have insured in that association or in that property for you. So you want to know if you have any flood insurance and probably give an average, because things change and quotes change from agents to agents. And not only that, you also want to know if you have any claims, if you've ever done any claims on your property, either from hurricanes or for natural disasters. If you have had any claims, you need to disclose those as well, because that's going to affect the buyer and when they're going to go for their own insurance. And if that's any claim that ever been claimed against your property, they will find out, and that will alter how much their premium could be. And you want to disclose that up front so that people are aware and they can know if they can even put an offer on your property. Something else that you want to keep in mind, you want to have and want to be up to date if there's any permits or code compliance, meaning even if you did put a new roof, even if it was by the association, obviously it was done through permits and is compliance by the city. But if it was like in a master association, for example, it might have been done through the master association permit and might not be very visible to you or to a buyer, and for this buyer to be able to get insured, right? So then you as an owner, because remember, this buyer does not live in this property yet. They're not part of this association. The agents are not part of this association. The only person that has access and has the right to this document are going to be the owners. So you as an owner want to be proactive, especially if you know that something has been done, and get all the documentation, and then also check with the city to see if you yourself have done something. Like I know sometimes owners like to upgrade their windows, and then they get those permits, and then they're gonna maybe have impact windows and have shutters happen in the property. Well, you need to make sure that these permits did not expire, first of all, and if it was done properly, that it was properly closed and that there's no violations. So you want to make sure beforehand, because trust me, during the contract is going to be a lien, what is called the lien search done by the title company and the attorney that are going to be closing on this property, or the title company closing on this property, and they're going to find if there's have been any violations. And again, what this will do is delay the process, and then you don't want any surprises. Like if you had to pay $5,000 for something that you didn't even know existed, now that might hinder your bottom line. So you want to know this beforehand. The fifth thing that you want to know, that you want to make sure that your agent knows, even though it's in public records, you want to talk about your property tax history. For example, if you have homestead exception on your property, that makes a big difference, because remember, a lot of these buyers, they're going to go to third-party websites like Realtor.com, Zillow, Redfin, and all of those. And those sites, they pull from the public records. So if the public records show a low taxes, some of these clients, some of these buyers are going to guide their monthly payments based on that. So if you disclose that you have a homestead exception, then we know that your property taxes are lower. Most agents will know this, but remember, don't assume that every agent has the same level of knowledge or experience. So you want to do your due diligence and give that to your seller's agent so that your seller's agent can then put the right information in the MLS. Remember, the MLS only gets fed what we give them besides what the city public records has. So you want to do that. And then if there's any benefits that could be transferred to the new buyers, you want to disclose that. Something else that only you will know and your agent might not know, you want to know if there's any unique selling points to your house. You want to highlight, like you have hurricane impact windows. Maybe you have solar panels that are already paid for. But if they're not paid for, you want to also do your due diligence, because if they're leased, that could present a problem of itself. If it is a lease, remember, you had to qualify personally that you were able to purchase to pay this lease. So if a new person that's trying to purchase your property, now you have to transfer this lease over to them. Well, these people now have to also qualify to be able to have those passed to them. Otherwise, if they don't qualify to get this, or if it's too expensive for them in their monthly payments, they also won't be able to do it. Any potential drawbacks, like aspects that might deter a buyer, you might want to disclose that if you're close to the roads or anything like that. Now, number 7, you want to talk about the utilities and maintenance. You want to know what kind of utilities you have and what's the average monthly payments of your electricity, your water bills, and anything. Like sometimes some associations have only a specific carrier for your internet, for example. Some only have AT&T for that association. Well, some people work from home and sometimes they don't like one or the other. So it's good to say that and disclose this and give this to your agent. Remember, your agent are going to be very knowledgeable in the area, but some nuances like this, like who is the carrier that maybe your association has, or let's say if you have an association that they have it already included in the payment, then you want to be able to disclose that. Any maintenance records, this is very important. If you have, like, for example, in my property, we put a brand new AC and we have maintenance company that comes every 3 months to come and check and do maintenance to make sure that the HVAC system is working properly and if things needs to be fixed or updated, they address it at that time. We also have like a pest control. They come every 3 months as well and they fumigate outside and inside to make sure that we are rid of pests or, because we have, we're in the state of Florida, we do have a lot of potential to have ants. You can also have wood destroying items in your property as well as roaches. I just hate the roaches. You can have that too in your property. Now, a big one, if you obviously here in South Florida, in Florida in general, we have a lot of people that have second homes or investment properties right here, and they have tenants in their property. But eventually, sometimes some people want to get out of it and just get their equity out of the property. They might want to invest in other places. So this is really good. You want to know if there's a tenant that's occupying your property, then you want to disclose the lease terms and the tenant's rights. You want to disclose that with your agent, and you also want to disclose if there's any rental restrictions. Let's say that you actually live in your property, but if somebody wants to purchase your property and potentially might have to rent it later, you want to know and you want to inform, if you are in an association, you want to inform your agent if there's any restrictions, if there's any restriction in short-term rentals or even long-term rentals. Like, for example, some places you can buy and you can rent it, but not only the first year of living in the property or maybe the second year, or some are you're never able to rent it even for short-term at all. So that is the 8th thing that is really important for you to tell your agent, and you do your homework prior to that. And one big one is disclosure document. There's a document that is not mandatory in the sale transaction of your property, but it is very recommended by me and by any agents, because this really will help you and help the person that's purchasing your property, will aid them in what it is that they're getting into. So this is the seller's disclosure form. If you want the seller disclosure forms, I'll be happy to send them to you. Just send me a comment and I send it to you, or just link it at the end of this live. And then also, so yeah, you want to have the self-disclosure. Also, if you want these 10 things that you like to tell your agent, I can also give you this as well. Just let me know. Just type in, yes, Betty, I like the 10 things. Whatever you want, I just give it to you. Then also any past inspection reports. If you have done a home inspection, for example, go through the inspection. Go see what they said that needed to be fixed. And if you fix it, then please have a folder, start a folder now and put all of the receipts, the contractors that came through and what it was done and when it was done. This is going to help your agent help you sell the property, saying everything that was done and what that was done correctly and it was done through permits if it needed one. So seller disclosure is a big one, guys. It has a lot of nuances in there and you want to take your time to fill that out completely to give to your agent. And also personal timing and if you're working from the property. Number 10, to me, this is very big. If you work from your house, how do you want your house to be shown? Do you want the house to be shown while you're there, or do you want to not be notified so that you can step out? A big one for me is you want to avoid being in the property when a potential buyer goes there, especially during inspection, because you as a seller could say things not necessarily wrong, but maybe could be said at the wrong time when the buyer or the inspector is there. This is to protect you. Try not to be there. So if you do work from home, communicate this with your agent so your agent can have, you and your agent can have a good strategy. I'm going to give you this as an example, and this is the bonus tip. Let me give you this bonus tip, guys. The bonus tip is there's 2 things you don't have to disclose when you're selling your property in Florida. I don't know in any other states, but in the state of Florida, you do not have to disclose if there has been a death in that property, whether it was before you or while you were there. You don't have to disclose if it was a homicide, suicide, anything like that. Also, you don't have to disclose if in this property has anybody lived there that had HIV. You don't have to disclose that. However, if you are in a room and you are together with a buyer or an inspector and you feel friendly and you want to start talking and you might say things that might deter somebody away because they just feel weird about it. There's some things that people just feel weird about it that you could just mention. It might not even be something as serious as that. It could just be something, I don't know, anything. So you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're going to hinder your own sale of the property. So anyway, guys, I hope these 10 things plus the bonus items that I told you will help you better prepare if you are trying to sell your property right here in the state of Florida or right here in Miami or Doral. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the comments below. You can call me, you can email me, you can text me. Again, I'm Betty Gonzalez. I am here, your host in Building Connections Doral Talks. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Have a great day and have a great weekend. Bye, guys. Real quick, calling all Doral professionals, entrepreneurs, and community influencers. Are you ready to showcase your business, share your knowledge and experience with our engaged audience? Building Connections Doral Talks invites you to become a guest speaker on our podcast. Share your unique perspectives and inspiring stories with our listeners. We believe in the power of your voice in shaping that conversations right here in Doral. Click the link below to submit your information and be part of our next episode. Join us in building connections, sharing knowledge, and growing together. Don't miss this opportunity to be a featured guest on Building Connections Doral Talks. Tune in, connect, share, and grow together with Building Connections Doral Talks, reshaping the way we engage with the diverse voices of Doral, one guest at a time. Doral Talks, your voice, our community. Click the link now on the show notes, the screen, or in the comments below, or just scan the QR code to submit your information as a guest. I hope to see you soon. See you in the next podcast. Bye.